Welcome to Who Let Them Moms Out.
Woo, 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 woo. My dog is getting worse.
I mean, it's supposed to be getting better, but it's not getting.
I know. Not today. Not today.
Welcome to the podcast where real parenting and real motherhood meets real talk, because we believe there aren't enough real conversations happening in the motherhood space, and we are here to disrupt that, change that, and open up the conversations for all things motherhood. Today, we are going to be talking about why motherhood is so lonely and what we can do to fix it. And this is a very important topic because this is how we connected. I think our friendship was built on this loneliness of like, why is it so lonely? Why does it have to be this way? Why don't we all do something to fix it? Everybody talks about finding a mom friend, but I think it needs to go beyond that.
Yes, definitely. It definitely needs to be. I think one of the things that we started with the connectors was because we were so real about it. Like we met and we straight away like spilled all the shit that was happening, and it was like, oh, okay, wait, it's normal. I'm not crazy. Okay, fine. So finally, it was like this weight lifted off my shoulders. I was like, we're not crazy. That's okay. That's okay.
My
And that's
favorite
it. That's
thing
exactly it.
that's actually exactly it. Now that I was just gonna say that my favorite thing about our relationship is that we always come to each other with something crazy that happened to us today with our kids, and then the other person always makes sure to let us know that it's totally normal. Like today in the morning, Paula was telling me how Flynn threw a fit because he wanted to eat the cookies, not make the cookies. And he just couldn't understand that we had to make the cookies first before eating them. And then an hour later, I proceeded to do my first 12 day of Christmas stocking things, which I've been planning for like a month. And my daughter loves reading. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like, I'm going to get her a book for every day or an educational puzzle, like, something just like we could do together. So every day before Christmas, we'll open a book together and we'll read it. It'll be so cute. And this brat, I gave her the book. She she was so upset. At first, she was okay with it, but then she remembered that last night before bed, I told her she couldn't have chocolate. Because she went to throw her diaper away in the trash, and she saw the wrappers for the chocolate, and then she came back upset and crying, and she didn't want the book. She threw it on the floor because I didn't give her chocolate, and I thought she was talking about hot chocolate, which I had just made for her. So it was just like this whole thing. Like, and I'm pregnant and
Yeah.
emotional. I almost started crying about this too because I woke up at 5 to wrap her book. I was like, this
I mean,
bitch.
I'm not pregnant and I almost cried. I was like, oh, this is not happening right now. Literally. I
But
saw you for 5 seconds.
it's just so nice having somebody that you can go to. And of course, like, I mean, there are days where like I'm having a good day, you're having a bad one, or the other way around. But I think it's the normalcy, right? Like the just normalizing all these things because they're just part of like real life and motherhood. And I think the problem is that we live in a society where everything has to be a competition, right? So like we were just talking about this actually before we recorded. We should have recorded that conversation.
I
Um,
know.
about how like if you're choosing like a natural pregnancy or a natural birth and you're choosing to do a hospital birth, automatically there's a competition about which one's better. Or if you're choosing to, let's say, do maternity photos and somebody's not, there's a competition about how you're wasting money and wasting time, or how you want it for attention, or there's always a negative connotation when it comes to things with other women. I don't think it's just motherhood, but it's especially painful during the motherhood stages of life because this is so hard already. Like there are so many moments of every day that no matter who you are, how great you're doing in life, your kid is gonna come and kick your butt. And the worst part is that they don't
Yeah.
even mean to. It's just the reality of what they're going through. And if you have nobody to lean on because you're always afraid of being judged and being just put down and what people are gonna say about, I cannot imagine what it must have been like being a mother in the 50s.
Oh no, yeah. Back then it was like you had to even motherhood was in your gene. You're a woman. You have to be a mother and
Those kids
complaining
better
about
be
that job. I think
perfect.
yeah, and I think it comes from that too, like it comes all the way back then. It's that idea that women were made for motherhood, so we can't complain about it because we are made for it. We had the children first and foremost. We decided to have the children. So
It's your choice.
how dare we complain about struggling? So I think it comes from all of that. And now even if we when we talk about it, I feel like there's still, I don't know, I still feel like I'm being a burden. I still feel like I am crazy every time
Mm.
you open your mouth. I still feel like I'm like, oh, nobody can relate. Nobody, nobody will ever
Either
relate back.
either so either you're crazy or you're the worst mom in the world, or you're
Yeah, yeah.
ungrateful. You're ungrateful.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I actually had a lovely conversation yesterday with a potential birth photographer, and I want to share this because it was literally exactly how I would envision a conversation with another mother that I don't know would go like. And it was so rare that I literally just I stared at my phone like, oh, so okay. So I've had it really difficult for my standards, right? Because just because you've had it worse by the standards of society does not, it doesn't invalidate somebody else's pain, right? So I've been having this
Yeah.
like really difficult pregnancy. I'm very tired. I have a toddler. There's a lot that I want to do that I cannot do. I was expecting to be, because I did it once already, so I thought maybe I'd be like better at it. I don't know, more prepared. I don't know. I feel like this pregnancy just has kicked my ass, like straight up. And I'm in week 28, and I don't see the silver lining. I don't see the rainbows. I haven't felt beautiful except for like a few hours, maybe in a few of the weeks. Like I look at the photos and I just look like a broom that's been left outside to get wet and dry on my own. Like, it's just like my first pregnancy, I felt beautiful. I felt like, oh, now I'm just bloated and swollen and I pee myself all the time and I'm always emotional. Like I cannot stand myself. It's horrible. So yeah, I've been complaining about it also for 28 weeks because it's been that bad, right? For me. And I've been throwing myself a pity party about it, and I'm just excited to have my birth. And then I'm talking to this woman, and she tells me how she's also pregnant. She is due 2 weeks after me, literally, but she still wants to be my birth photographer, even though my baby can come 2 weeks late, basically, in her due date. Um,
Wow.
and she tells me how she's been trying to conceive for 6 years. She's had a bunch of miscarriages. She had a baby that made it to 20 something weeks, and then she had a preemie birth, and the baby was stillborn. Like all this awful, awful, awful trajectory of motherhood that I cannot imagine because thankfully I've never had to go through anything like that, right? And her awful off the bat sounds so much more awful than my awful, right? Like I feel so ungrateful complaining about morning sickness when there's somebody that's losing
Yeah.
babies, right? And so I tell her that, and I said, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so sorry. That must be so awful. I'm so glad you're having a nice." Oh, and then on this new pregnancy, she's had to have like the needle to poke the baby to make sure everything's okay, like through her, like
I
right,
know.
just awful, awful, right? And I'm sitting there going like, wow, like thank you for sharing that. Like I'm so sorry. That sounds so horrible, but I'm so glad you're having a good pregnancy. And she's like, yeah, it's just the way it is. Like it doesn't invalidate somebody else's, like, and we just went back and forth, and it was just a regular conversation of just talking about our realities. Nobody was throwing a pity party. Nobody was like, oh my gosh, like mine is worse. Like it wasn't a it was just a conversation,
It
right?
was just
And
sharing information,
yes. And we bonded, and I had four photographers that I could interview and talk to, but this woman's vulnerability and rawness, right, was so special to me because I was like, this is the kind of person that I know is going to be able to photograph my birth. That's what I want around me when I'm giving birth. A person who understands the kind of pain that we go through and who doesn't diminish somebody else's pain just because hers could have been bigger, right? And I feel like with the subject of motherhood, especially during pregnancy, it can be so lonely because so much out there, it's painting this picture that when you become pregnant, you become this goddess and this beautiful connection. And it's so amazing. And oh my God. And then if you're feeling anything less than that, you feel like a piece of shit. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm so ungrateful. I'm not meant to be a mother. Look at me. I'm already not connecting with a baby. Look at me complaining. My body's not meant for this. I'm vomiting every day. You go into this mindset because you're already full of hormones and emotions, and everybody's talking about how beautiful it is. But then if you go on the other spectrum and share that it's difficult and that it's bad and that it's the reality of it, then you have people coming at you telling you to stop telling people that these things are hard and scaring people off from the reality of pregnancy. And that is what I have found very challenging this time around, because every time I open my mouth about the challenges that
Everyone,
I'm
yeah.
facing, everyone comes at me about how it's natural, how I'm not doing something right. Like you're not doing meditation. You're not, you need to relax.
Uh,
Have you
they're
tried
trying to
yoga?
fix you.
Have you
Right.
tried, and it's like, yeah, yes, I have. I literally wake up at 5 and I do my meditations and I've done yoga and I breathe and I have a wonderful partner that's super supportive and I have a privileged lifestyle. I don't have to leave my house to go to work and I rest and I'm eating protein every 15 minutes. I'm stuffing my face with meat so I don't vomit. What else do you want me to do?
Yeah, it's just crazy. But like I was gonna say that on the other side, I actually just I follow this mom that she shares a lot her daily vlogs with her 11-month-old baby girl, and she just says she loves motherhood and she loves being a mom and she loves her little life that she has right now, and she shares about that a lot and how she enjoys it. She also shares about how some things are difficult. It's not like all just perfect, but she shares about actually enjoying motherhood. And people also go to her and get like she literally has
Oh yeah,
a reel that's gone viral that people are going to be like, oh, you're setting high expectations for other people. This is not just like la 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 la. And it's like, but why can't she just enjoy it? Like,
right.
why does it have to be expectations for someone else? Or like, I don't get
Yep.
it. Like how you like you can't be one way or the other. It just has to be
Right. I
a
think
constant fight.
I think it comes from like this belief that things are, well, first of all, that these things are linear, right? So because we're not used to having conversations around our emotions and our
Mm,
lives and the duality of life, right? Of things. Like it is completely possible to be going through a difficult time and still be happy about some things in your life. Like
yeah,
I love being a mother. I never thought in my life, I always thought I was too selfish, too
yeah,
self-absorbed, like no patience or whatever. And I am the sweetest human I have ever been. Like I'm not a sweet person by nature, but with my daughter, I find sweetness and patience that I did not know was possible. I adore
yeah,
being a mother, but I am not a fan of pregnancy. I have just come to terms with it. I haven't had a traumatic pregnancy like other people have. It's been relatively easy. And I'm, again, super privileged. Like, I'm not working in the fields while carrying a, 20-pound baby. I've nothing crazy like that, but it's just been difficult for me. And why can I say I don't enjoy pregnancy, but I do enjoy motherhood because I love being a mom. It's challenging as hell, my God. I mean, but
yeah,
I love it. But
yeah,
pregnancy, like, I don't know, like, you don't have the baby, you're just feeling awful in your body, nothing makes sense, you're crying all the time, like, you're peeing yourself all the time, like, you have heartburn, like,
yeah.
like, what's
Yeah,
the
it's not the
love?
best experience. At least for me, it wasn't the best experience either. But it
Right.
was a long time ago. When they do say that you forget, you do forget until it happens again.
Yes, yes. And that's another thing that's so crazy that I think that I wish we talked more about because, you know, it's not that it's so awful that you wouldn't do it again. It's that
Yeah,
it's for me, it hasn't been this beautiful rainbow, I'm glowing, like, no. But it's also there are moments that are beautiful. I think I'm pregnant. Like if I had to redo this pregnancy again, like I don't want to say if I were to get pregnant again because I don't want to be pregnant again. But if I were to redo this pregnancy, I would definitely do it again just to see my daughter bond with the baby. Like to me, that's been
yeah,
so sweet and so special. For example, I also when I'm pregnant, I get like a sixth sense connection to the baby, and sometimes I have like really vivid dreams or like downloads, like information that comes that I know it's not mine, that I think is a connection with the baby. And to me, that's so special because I don't normally feel this in my everyday life unless I'm pregnant. And I felt it in my first pregnancy and I'm feeling it again. So, like, that's beautiful, I think. And I also love that when I'm pregnant, at least the previous time after birth, like, it gives me this self love and confidence because I feel like I go through so much in my body that when I'm on the other side of that, I am much more likely to be appreciative of what my body can do versus my regular me who's just complaining
hmm,
about extra rolls or extra cellulite or extra whatever. Like, I feel like
yeah,
pregnancy just makes you be more appreciative of the actual truth about your body. So there are
yeah,
definitely benefits, there are definitely beautiful things. It's just for me, it just
definitely.
hasn't
But
been.
yeah, it just doesn't have to. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think yeah, we always just. I don't know. Like we always also. I think also our expectations of it also play a very big part because we sort of. I think when I looked at other people's pregnancies, I was like, oh, I want that. And I want to pick that one and this one as if,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you can. And you think you can do all of these things and you think things, I don't know, things can go a certain way, especially if you already had a pregnancy before, like it went well the first time and went this way. Like I definitely can
Mm-hmm.
recreate this, but like it's never the case. Like life is just so unpredictable and yeah, it's just expecting the unexpected these days. What were we talking about?
How
We're just gone
lonely,
to motivation. Oh yeah, loneliness.
loneliness. Well,
Yeah, the
but
lonely moments.
it sucks because it starts with pregnancy, right? With this whole comparison game and expectations and this like, fake ideals of what it should and shouldn't be. And then it goes on to postpartum, and that gets even lonelier because, if anybody is like, if you know anybody who's postpartum, or if you have been postpartum yourself, you know that those first 4 months, it doesn't matter what you're going through and what anybody else is going through that you can relate to. You don't have time for that. Like, especially if it's a second, I don't have a, I'm working on my second kid right now, but I hear from other moms that it's like you can't even grasp life. Like nothing matters. Like you're just like trying to, it's like a juggling game. You're constantly just trying to catch
Yeah,
up with all the things, And
all the
I'm a
new
little bit
things that you're learning
afraid.
every single day.
Exactly. I'm a little bit afraid because I already feel like I'm constantly catching up with myself and life. I don't know how much worse I can get.
You just added yourself to the challenge, girl. Just be like, let me see what I can do
I
more.
mean,
These
the good thing
these
is that like
balls were flowing well. That was it. It was like, oh, these balls are flowing well right here, right now. And then you're like, okay, I need to add another one. Let me go. Let me go.
you remind me of, in the office, when Will
Yes,
Ferrell,
that's exactly what I was
yeah,
doing. What's his name? Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, the
That's
joke.
exactly what I was going for. Kill it.
Okay, so if you are a mom in pregnancy or the beginning stages of motherhood or any stages of motherhood and you need a word of encouragement, I'm going to share something that a really good friend of mine shared with me when I was recently postpartum, and that really helped me out a lot. So and I use that analogy in many things in life because it's been groundbreaking for me actually since then. She uses the analogy of the glass bowls. And so when you're a brand new mom, right? Or going through any chapter in life. This works for anything, but it works especially well for when you're a brand new mom. You're juggling balls in life. And some balls are cotton balls, some balls are plastic, some balls are metal, but some balls are glass balls. And you have to choose the glass balls over anything else because the glass balls, when they fall, they will break. And so when you're feeling lonely, when you're feeling like you can't do anymore, when you feel like this is impossible, the whole analogy of one step at a time goes with the balls. Choose the glass balls. In this case, the glass balls is your brand new baby, your well-being, your mental
Focus on
health,
the
your
important
postpartum
things.
body.
Yeah.
Choose the important things and everything else will slowly fall into place. And I remember when I was postpartum and I felt very, very lonely. We had just traveled to a new country. I knew nobody. Like we had just moved to Mexico and whatever. Um, but I remember that this helped me out a lot because it placed the focus on my baby. And that is all I constant. Like everything else stopped. Like my business took the back seat, my husband took the back seat, my house took the back seat, the cleaning, the laundry, everything, the working out that I was supposed to do to bounce back after birth, everything took the back seat because I had a very important glass ball that I had to concentrate on. And once I concentrated on that ball, it really put things into perspective for me, and it helped me feel less lonely because it helped me feel less guilt about where my priorities needed to be in that moment. And then eventually I found my path. So if this is you as well, just remember that the more we have these conversations and the more we open up and come to one another and normalize all of this, the easier it will get in the future for everyone. Because even if your glass ball looks different than mine, it's still your priority. And that's really what matters. And I think the
Yeah.
more we talk about the importance of like being able to make these choices without the judgment, right? Like if you're a mom that, let's say, has to go back to work because you're afraid you're going to lose your job, at 2 months postpartum, like many people that my life that I've met, like that does not make you a bad mom. If you're a
Yeah.
mom that has to make pasta 3 times a week because you're exhausted and you can't make food, that doesn't make you a bad mom, because at the end of the day, you are holding up your glass ball, which is your baby. The rest of it, the cooking, the cleaning, the jobs, everything else, however that has to be done right now, is just temporary. There will be seasons in life where you can sit there and do a gourmet meal, you know, but maybe right now you can barely stand up because you're postpartum and you're having issues. You know what I mean? And the focus should not be on the things that you're not able to do, or the comparisons you're not able to
Yeah.
meet, or the standards you're not able to follow through because you've seen online and it doesn't look the same. The focus should be on that very important glass ball that you have in front of you, which is your baby, your motherhood, your body, your postpartum, whatever it is for you, right? Because it's different for all of us. some of us have better support systems. Some of us have family there that can make food for you, take care of the baby, whatever. Some of us have better healthcare, whatever it is, right? So just know that you're not alone and you're doing okay and it's all good. And
So
eventually it all
normal,
finds
so natural. It will fall into
and
place.
especially what you just said, it's all normal and natural. Even if nobody's talking about it online, I promise you, somebody's going through it.
Well, that reminds me. If you have any shit stories that you guys want to share with us. I will follow up with the link. Oh no, never mind. We'll carry on.
Not a link. No, come and follow us online on Instagram at Who Let the Moms Out Pod and share your crazy shit mom stories, your fears, your loneliness, or anything else you want to share motherhood wise. And we'll do an episode where we share all of these and then we can all laugh and cry together. All right, we will see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye.